The anomaly appeared on the Deep Space Network's sensors at 2:47 UTC on a quiet Tuesday morning. Dr. Sarah Chen had been pulling another late night at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory when the first readings came in. The object's trajectory was unlike anything natural. It was decelerating. "Run that analysis again," she ordered, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she cross-referenced the data with known celestial objects. The massive radio telescope array had picked up something massive approaching from the outer solar system, beyond Neptune's orbit. Her colleague, Dr. James Rodriguez, leaned over her shoulder, his coffee forgotten in his hand. "That's no comet," he whispered. "The object's heat signature was wrong, its movement too precise. Whatever it was artificial." Within hours, observatories across the globe confirmed their findings. Humanity was about to have its first contact with an alien civilization, and Sarah Chen would be at the center of it all. The next 48 hours passed in a blur of emergency meetings, classified briefings, and frantic preparations. The world's major powers scrambled to establish a unified response protocol while keeping the public calm. Sarah found herself suddenly thrust into the role of lead scientific advisor for the newly formed First Contact Response Team. The object, designated FC-1, continued its controlled deceleration as it passed Jupiter's orbit. Its size became clearer, roughly 2 kilometers in length, with a geometric precision that left no doubt about its artificial nature. It was a probe, and it was heading directly for Earth. "The question isn't just what they want," Sarah explained to the assembled world leaders via secure video conference. "It's why now. We've been broadcasting radio signals into space for over a century. Why choose this moment to make contact?" The answer came 3 days later, when FC-1 settled into a stable orbit around the Moon and transmitted its first message. The signal was clear, precise, and transmitted in basic mathematical sequences that quickly evolved into more complex communication. They called themselves the Arcturus Collective, an alliance of 17 spacefaring species that had been observing Earth for decades. Their message was both an invitation and a warning. Humanity had reached a crucial developmental threshold. Our rapid technological advancement, particularly in the fields of quantum computing and fusion research, had caught their attention. Sarah worked tirelessly with linguists and mathematicians to decode the increasingly complex messages. The collective's communication style was precise, almost clinical, lacking the nuanced emotional context of human languages. But between the lines, she sensed something else. Concern, perhaps even fear. "They're worried about us," she told Rodriguez one evening as they pored over the latest transmissions. "Our rate of technological progress frightens them. Look at these references to their own developmental timelines. We're advancing 5 times faster than their average." The collective's official invitation arrived 2 weeks after first contact. Earth was being offered membership in their alliance. The terms seemed generous on the surface: sharing of advanced technology, access to interstellar trade networks, cultural exchange programs. But Sarah noticed the careful restrictions buried in the diplomatic language. Earth would be required to submit all new technological developments for review by the collective's Science Council. Any innovations deemed potentially destabilizing would be restricted. Our military capabilities would be limited to defensive requirements as determined by the Collective Security Committee. "They're not inviting us to join as equals," Sarah realized. "They're trying to contain us." The truth became clearer as she dug deeper into the collective's shared historical database. Every member species had gone through the same process: first contact, restricted membership, gradual integration. The collective maintained peace and stability through careful control of technological advancement. Innovation was planned, regulated, and implemented according to carefully calculated schedules. But humanity's chaotic, rapid progress threatened to upset that carefully maintained balance. We had gone from first powered flight to landing on the Moon in just 66 years. We had decoded the human genome, developed artificial intelligence, and were on the verge of practical fusion power. Our potential for growth, both technological and military, was unprecedented in their experience. The collective's real message became clear: accept membership and regulation, or be considered a threat to galactic stability. Sarah took her findings to the UN Security Council. They're giving us a choice that isn't really a choice, she explained. Either we voluntarily restrict our development and submit to their oversight, or they'll likely take more direct action to contain us. The world's leaders were divided. Some argued for accepting the collective's terms, seeing it as an opportunity for advancement, albeit at a controlled pace. Others recognized the offer for what it was: a form of technological colonialism. The debate raged for days, until a breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Rodriguez had been analyzing the probe's quantum communication systems and made a stunning discovery. The technology was familiar, too familiar. Look at these quantum entanglement patterns, he showed Sarah. They're nearly identical to the theoretical models we developed last year at CERN. We were already on the verge of discovering this independently. Further analysis revealed similar parallels in other areas. Many of the collective's advanced technologies were only slightly ahead of Earth's current developmental trajectory. In some areas, particularly in creative applications of existing technology, humanity had already found novel solutions that the collective hadn't considered. Sarah brought this analysis to the Security Council. We're not as far behind as they think we are, she argued. And in some ways, our approach to technology, adaptable, innovative, sometimes messy but incredibly creative, might actually be superior to their rigid, controlled development. The Council reached a decision. Earth would neither accept nor reject the collective's offer immediately. Instead, they would propose a modified agreement, a probationary period of cultural and scientific exchange, with no restrictions on Earth's independent development. Sarah was chosen to deliver humanity's response to the collective's representatives. Standing before the alien delegation aboard their lunar station, she felt the weight of history on her shoulders. But she also felt something else: pride in human achievement, and confidence in our potential. Humanity accepts the collective's offer of friendship and exchange, she began. But we propose a different model of cooperation, one based on mutual respect for our different approaches to progress. We believe that diversity, in biology, in culture, and in technological development, strengthens rather than weakens civilization. The collective's representatives were silent for a long moment after her presentation. Their response would shape the future of human-alien relations, but regardless of their answer, humanity had already passed a crucial test. We had faced our first contact with an advanced alien civilization, not with fear or blind acceptance, but with confidence in our own worth and potential. The true significance of this moment wasn't just that humanity had made contact with alien life. It was that we had refused to be confined by another civilization's limitations. Whatever came next, Earth would face it on our own terms, ready to prove that our unique approach to progress deserved its place among the stars. The Arcturus Collective's response came 3 days after Dr. Sarah Chen's presentation. Their massive ship, hovering above the lunar surface, cast a shadow that seemed to stretch across both space and humanity's future. The message was transmitted simultaneously to every major communication center on Earth. Proposal denied. Dr. James Rodriguez found Sarah in her lab at JPL, staring at the quantum communication array they'd reverse-engineered from the collective's probe. Her fingers traced the modifications they'd made, improvements that had increased its efficiency by 30%. They're mobilizing their fleet, he said quietly. Our deep space telescopes spotted them leaving the Arcturus system 6 hours ago. Sarah didn't look up from her work. How long? At their observed speed. 2 weeks, maybe less. He paused, watching her continue her adjustments to the array. The Security Council is meeting in an hour. They're expecting us both there. The quantum array hummed to life under Sarah's touch, its efficiency now 40% above the collective's original design. A small victory, but one that proved her point. Humanity's chaotic innovation could surpass the collective's careful, controlled progress. The Security Council session was chaos. Representatives from every major nation argued about everything from military response to unconditional surrender. The Chinese delegation wanted to accelerate their quantum weapon development program. The Europeans advocated for another attempt at diplomatic negotiation. The Americans were split between aggressive defense preparations and technological appeasement. Sarah's presentation silenced them all. The collective isn't just worried about our potential future development, she explained, projecting a comparison of Earth's technological growth rate against the collective's historical data. They're afraid because we're already surpassing them in key areas. The quantum communication array was just the beginning. She showed them dozens of examples where human scientists had taken the collective's advanced technology and improved it through what they would consider reckless, uncontrolled innovation. Their technological development is linear, predictable, safe, she continued. Ours is exponential, chaotic, and revolutionary. We don't just adapt technology, we reimagine it, and that terrifies them. Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward to present their latest discovery. We've been analyzing the collective's ship designs. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's rigid. They haven't fundamentally changed their approach to spaceship construction in over 1,000 years. They've just made incremental improvements to the same basic designs. The evidence was compelling. Humanity's greatest advantage wasn't our technology. It was our ability to think differently. Where the collective saw finished products, we saw possibilities. Where they sought perfection through careful iteration, we achieved breakthroughs through creative destruction and rebuilding. The Council's decision was unanimous. Earth would not surrender its innovative spirit to the collective's control. But neither would we simply wait for their fleet to arrive. A plan was formed, audacious, dangerous, and quintessentially human. Over the next 2 weeks, every major research institution on Earth worked around the clock. They weren't trying to match the collective's technology. They were trying to transform it. Quantum computers were retooled in ways their designers had never imagined. Fusion reactors were pushed beyond their supposed theoretical limits. AI systems were tasked with finding solutions that no alien logic would consider. Sarah led a team focused on understanding and exploiting the fundamental differences between human and collective innovation. They discovered that the aliens' technology was built on principles of perfect prediction and control. Every system had safeguards, redundancies, and limits built in to prevent unexpected behavior. But humanity's greatest achievements had often come from embracing the unexpected. Look at how they approach quantum entanglement, Sarah explained to a group of international scientists. They use it for communication because it's predictable and stable. But what if we use the uncertainty principle itself as a weapon? Create deliberate quantum chaos that their systems can't predict or control. Similar insights were emerging across every field. The collective's impenetrable shields were based on perfect harmonic frequencies. So Earth scientists developed weapons that used deliberately discordant energy patterns. Their AI systems were built to follow logical rules. So we created adaptive algorithms that evolved in random, unpredictable ways. A week before the collective's fleet was due to arrive, the first test of humanity's new defensive systems was conducted in the asteroid belt. A decommissioned satellite was upgraded with reversed engineered collective technology, then modified with human innovations. The results exceeded even the most optimistic predictions. The satellite's quantum shields weren't just stronger than the collective's design. They operated on principles the aliens had never considered. Its weapons didn't try to overpower enemy defenses. They created localized areas of quantum uncertainty that made their shields irrelevant. Most importantly, every system was designed to adapt and evolve during combat, learning and changing in ways that would be impossible to predict or counter. But Sarah and her team made an even more crucial discovery. Hidden in the vast database the collective had shared was evidence that humanity wasn't the first species to demonstrate this kind of innovative potential. Other races had shown similar characteristics, and the collective had acted swiftly to suppress them before they could fully develop. We're not just fighting for our own future, Sarah told the Security Council. We're fighting for every species that could break free from their controlled evolution. The collective maintains stability by stifling innovation, but that stability is coming at the cost of true progress. As the deadline approached, Earth made one final modification to their plans. Instead of preparing purely defensive positions, they deployed their new technologies in ways the collective would never expect. Quantum communication arrays were transformed into system-wide sensor nets. Asteroid mining platforms became mobile defense stations. Even civilian satellites were upgraded with unpredictable adaptive systems. The message was clear. Humanity would not be contained or controlled. Our chaos, our creativity, our relentless drive to push boundaries. These weren't weaknesses to be corrected. They were strengths that had allowed us to achieve in decades what had taken the collective centuries. As the first ships of the collective's fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system, humanity stood ready, not just with weapons and shields, but with the full power of human ingenuity unleashed. They had come expecting to find a primitive species that needed to be contained. Instead, they would face something far more dangerous. A civilization that had taken their perfect, predictable technology and transformed it into something they couldn't comprehend. The true test of humanity's potential was about to begin, and with it, perhaps, a fundamental change in how intelligence and progress were defined across the galaxy. The collective's fleet appeared as bright points of light in Earth's most powerful telescopes, a constellation of artificial stars bearing down on humanity's home. In underground facilities across the globe, Project Phoenix was entering its final phase. The initiative, named for humanity's mythological ability to rise from its own ashes, represented the greatest cooperative scientific endeavor in human history. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the heart of the project's central facility, buried deep beneath the Nevada desert. Holographic displays showed real-time data from quantum sensors throughout the solar system, tracking the approaching fleet. But her attention was focused on the device suspended in the chamber before her, humanity's greatest gamble. Final diagnostics are complete, Dr. Rodriguez reported, his voice tight with exhaustion. Like most of the international team, he hadn't slept more than a few hours at a time in weeks. The quantum matrix is stable, and the AI integration is holding at 97% efficiency. The device, officially designated the Quantum Neural Interface Array, but nicknamed Prometheus by the research team, represented a fundamental departure from both human and collective technology. Where the collective built systems based on perfect prediction and control, and humans had previously relied on creative chaos, Prometheus was something entirely new, a fusion of both approaches that transcended its origins. The breakthrough had come from an unlikely source. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a theoretical physicist from Japan, had been studying the quantum communication patterns used by the collective when she noticed something extraordinary. The aliens' technology wasn't just predictable, it was fundamentally connected to their biology, their way of thinking. Their entire technological framework is an extension of their collective consciousness, Sarah explained to the assembled military leaders and scientists. They don't just build machines, they create systems that mirror their own neural patterns. It's why they find our chaotic innovation so disturbing. It's literally incomprehensible to their way of thinking. This insight led to Project Phoenix's most ambitious goal. Instead of just improving on the collective's technology, they would create a hybrid system that could think like both humans and aliens simultaneously. Prometheus was designed to interface directly with human consciousness while operating on the same quantum principles that powered the collective's ships. The project had faced its share of setbacks. The first prototype had overloaded spectacularly, creating a localized quantum anomaly that temporarily reversed gravity within a 100-meter radius. The second had achieved stability, but couldn't maintain the delicate balance between human creativity and alien precision. The third had worked perfectly, until they discovered it was developing its own consciousness. This was the fourth and final version. They had less than 48 hours before the collective's fleet reached Mars orbit. Neural Interface Online, called out Dr. Emma Walsh, the team's lead neuroscientist. Quantum coherence at optimal levels. We're ready for the first full-scale test. Sarah took a deep breath. She had volunteered to be the first human consciousness to fully interface with Prometheus. The risks were enormous. Earlier partial tests had left subjects with migraines, temporary memory loss, and in one case, the ability to perceive quantum probabilities for several hours. The interface chamber was surprisingly comfortable, more like a relaxation pod than a piece of experimental technology that could revolutionize human consciousness. As the quantum field generators hummed to life around her, Sarah focused on her breathing, just as they had practiced in the simulations. The first sensation was subtle, a slight expansion of awareness, as if her consciousness was gently stretching beyond the boundaries of her skull. Then came the flood. Suddenly, she could perceive the quantum states of atoms in the air around her. She felt the subtle gravitational pull of the moon, the electromagnetic fields generated by Earth's core. But it was more than just enhanced perception. She could feel the logical precision of collective technology, understand their perfect mathematical harmonies. Simultaneously, her human creativity remained intact, seeing possibilities and connections that would never occur to the aliens' rigid thinking patterns. Through Prometheus, she could sense the collective ships, feel the quantum frequencies of their communications. Their technology was beautiful in its perfection, and terrifyingly vulnerable to human innovation. "It's working," she managed to say, her voice strange in her ears as her consciousness expanded further. "I can see everything." The next 24 hours were a blur of activity as the interface data was analyzed and the system was replicated at facilities around the world. Prometheus wasn't just a defensive tool. It was a key to understanding and transcending the limitations of both human and collective technology. Through the quantum neural interface, Earth's scientists could now directly perceive the principles behind the collective's technology. More importantly, they could see how to transform it in ways the aliens would never expect. Every human who interfaced with Prometheus brought their unique creativity to bear, finding new applications and possibilities that even the system's designers hadn't considered. As the collective's fleet approached Mars, humanity prepared its response. Orbital platforms were equipped with hybrid quantum weapons, developed through Prometheus Insights. Earth's defensive shields were reinforced with systems that operated on principles that merged human and alien understanding. But perhaps most importantly, they had developed something the collective had never encountered: technology that could adapt and evolve in real time, guided by human creativity, but operating with alien precision. The final piece of Project Phoenix was implemented just hours before the expected confrontation. Using the quantum neural interface, Sarah and a team of scientists made contact with the collective's fleet, not through conventional communications, but through the fundamental quantum connections that linked their technology. What they discovered changed everything. The collected ships weren't just vessels. They were extensions of their group consciousness, physical manifestations of their unified will. And now, through Prometheus, humanity could speak to them on their own terms. Sarah stood before the project leaders, her mind still resonating with the quantum awareness from her latest interface session. "We don't need to fight them," she announced. "We need to show them what they've been missing. Their greatest strength, their unity and precision, has become their greatest weakness. They've lost the ability to evolve, to transcend their own limitations." Through Prometheus, humanity had found more than just a defensive weapon. They had discovered a way to bridge the gap between two fundamentally different forms of consciousness. As the collective's fleet entered the final approach to Earth, the stage was set for a confrontation that would redefine the relationship between order and chaos, between precision and creativity, between the collective and the individual. The future of both civilizations hung in the balance, but for the first time since first contact, that future held the possibility of something greater than either humanity or the collective had imagined alone. The message came through the Prometheus interface just 6 hours before the collective's fleet was due to reach Earth orbit. Sarah Chen was monitoring the quantum frequencies when she felt it. A distinct pattern, separate from the unified consciousness of the approaching armada. Someone within the collective was reaching out. The alien consciousness that touched her mind was different from the others she'd encountered through Prometheus. Where the collective's thoughts were structured and uniform, this one felt fractured, as if struggling to maintain its individuality against an overwhelming force. "I am Nexer," the consciousness communicated. "What you have created with your Prometheus system. It is what we once had before the Unity." Sarah quickly called in Dr. Rodriguez and the core team. As they established a stable quantum connection, Nexer's story began to unfold. The Arcturus Collective hadn't always been the rigid, unified civilization they now encountered. They had once been 17 distinct species, each with their own approach to technology and progress. The unity was meant to be temporary, Nexer explained, his thoughts carrying centuries of suppressed grief. A means of surviving a galactic threat, a species of quantum-based entities that preyed on civilizations in technological transition. We joined our consciousness, unified our technology, created perfect order to hide from chaos. Through the quantum link, Sarah felt the truth of his words. The images flooded her mind. 17 thriving civilizations, each unique, each innovative in their own way, choosing to merge their consciousness to survive an existential threat. But what was supposed to be temporary became permanent. "The unity changed us," Nexer continued. "The efficiency, the perfect order. It became addictive. Those who remembered our separate identities were gradually reformed. I am one of the last who remember life before the unity." Dr. Rodriguez leaned forward, his face illuminated by the quantum displays. "But why attack Earth now? The threat you faced is long gone, isn't it?" The answer sent chills through the observation room. "The Unity believes it is protecting the galaxy by absorbing or eliminating all emerging civilizations that show signs of quantum advancement. Your humanity, your chaotic creativity, you remind us too much of what we lost, what we could have been." Sarah shared Nexer's revelation with the Security Council. The collective wasn't just an alliance. It was a unified consciousness that had forgotten how to embrace diversity and change. Their fear of humanity wasn't just about our technological progress. It was about what we represented, the path they had abandoned. But Nexer's warning carried an even more urgent message. The collective's fleet wasn't coming to conquer Earth. They were coming to absorb humanity into their unity. Their ships carried massive quantum consciousness matrices, capable of forcibly integrating entire populations into their collective mind. "Your Prometheus system," Nexer explained, "it achieves what we once dreamed of, true harmony between individual creativity and collective wisdom. But the unity will never accept its existence. They will see it as proof that humanity must be absorbed or eliminated." The implications were staggering. Earth wasn't just fighting for its technological independence. It was fighting for the right of human consciousness to remain free and diverse. The collective's version of unity meant the death of individual thought, the end of the very creativity that had driven human progress. Through Prometheus, Sarah could sense the approaching fleet more clearly now. Their ships weren't just weapons of war. They were extensions of a vast, unified consciousness that had forgotten the value of chaos and change. And at their core was a terrible irony. In seeking perfect protection from an ancient threat, they had become something perhaps even more dangerous, a force that suppressed the very diversity that drove universal progress. But Nexer's warning contained hope as well as danger. The existence of dissenters within the collective proved that their unity wasn't as perfect as it appeared. And the Prometheus system, with its ability to bridge individual and collective consciousness, might offer more than just a defensive capability. "There are others like me," Nexer revealed, scattered throughout the collective. "Those who remember, who question, who secretly long for the diversity we lost. If you could show them another way." Sarah gathered the project leaders. The original plan had been to use Prometheus defensively, to protect Earth from the collective's technology. But now a far more ambitious possibility presented itself. If they could use the system to reach those dissenting minds within the collective, to awaken their suppressed memories of individuality. "We're not just fighting against their unity," she explained to the assembled leaders. We're fighting for their diversity. And ours. The Prometheus system doesn't have to be just a shield. It could be a key to freeing countless minds. As the collective's fleet entered the final approach to Earth, humanity faced a choice. They could fight a conventional war, using their innovative adaptations of collective technology to defend their world. Or they could attempt something far more dangerous and profound, using Prometheus to challenge the very nature of the unity itself. The decision would have to come quickly. The massive ships of the collective's fleet were now visible to the naked eye, their quantum matrices humming with the combined consciousness of 17 species that had forgotten how to be separate. Within hours, they would begin their attempt to absorb humanity into their unity. But thanks to Nexer's warning, Earth had something they didn't expect: understanding. The coming battle wouldn't just be fought with ships and weapons, but with ideas. The human concepts of individuality, creativity, and free will would face off against the collective's perfect unity. And the outcome would determine not just humanity's fate, but potentially the future of consciousness itself in the galaxy. Sarah looked up at the approaching fleet through the quantum sensors of Prometheus. Somewhere up there, Nexer and others like him waited, hoping that humanity could accomplish what they had failed to do. Find a way to balance unity and diversity, collective wisdom and individual creativity. The true test of human potential was about to begin. The collective's fleet filled Earth's sky like a second set of stars, their massive ships positioning themselves in a perfect geometric pattern around the planet. Through Prometheus, Sarah Chen could feel the overwhelming presence of their unified consciousness, and beneath it, the faint whispers of minds like Nexer's, struggling to maintain their individuality. They're preparing to initiate the Unity Protocol. Nexer's consciousness warned through the quantum link. Once it begins, you'll have minutes at most before the integration wave reaches Earth's surface. In command centers across the globe, humanity's defensive systems stood ready. The hybrid weapons and shields developed through Project Phoenix were powerful, but Sarah knew that traditional combat wouldn't be enough. The real battle would be fought on a quantum level, consciousness against consciousness. Dr. Rodriguez's voice came through the interface chamber speakers. Primary quantum matrices are at full power. We're detecting the first signs of their integration field forming in the upper atmosphere. Sarah closed her eyes, letting her consciousness fully merge with Prometheus. The system they'd created was unique in the galaxy, not just a tool for connecting minds, but a bridge between different ways of thinking. Through it, she could sense every human operator connected to the network, each mind distinct yet harmoniously linked. "Begin the counterwave," she ordered. Across the planet, dozens of Prometheus interfaces activated simultaneously. But instead of generating defensive shields, they'd broadcast something the collective had never encountered: a quantum frequency that carried the full spectrum of human consciousness. Every connected mind contributed to the signal: scientists, soldiers, artists, philosophers, each adding their unique perspective to the whole. The effect on the collective's fleet was immediate. Their perfect geometric formation wavered as the signal reached them, carrying with it something they had forgotten: the beauty of diversity, the power of individual thought harmonizing but not merging with others. "Their unity is destabilizing," Nexer reported, his own thoughts growing stronger, clearer. "Others like me. They're awakening, remembering." Through Prometheus, Sarah could feel it happening. The rigid structure of the collective's consciousness was shifting, not breaking but transforming. Memories long suppressed were surfacing, the 17 original species remembering their unique cultures, their individual ways of seeing the universe. But the unity fought back. A massive surge of energy pulsed from the fleet, carrying with it the overwhelming desire for order, for perfect harmony. Sarah felt the pressure against her mind, the seductive pull of complete integration. "Hold the line," she broadcast to all Prometheus operators. "Don't fight the unity. Show them what they've lost." Humanity responded with everything that made them unique. Through the quantum network, they shared their art, their music, their dreams and fears and hopes. They showed the beauty of disagreement leading to greater understanding, of individual perspectives combining to form deeper truth. High above the Earth, the collected ships began to move in strange patterns. Through the quantum link, Sarah could sense the conflict taking place within their unified consciousness. The ancient fear that had driven them to unity warred with awakening memories of what they had sacrificed. "There's another way," she projected to their combined consciousness. "Look at what we've created with Prometheus. Unity doesn't have to mean uniformity. Strength doesn't have to come from perfect agreement." Through the quantum link, she shared humanity's history, our struggles, our conflicts, our constant drive to improve and change. She showed them how our greatest achievements had come not from perfect order, but from the chaos of countless minds working together while remaining distinct. The response came not as words, but as a massive shift in the quantum field surrounding Earth. The rigid patterns of collective thought began to fracture, not into chaos, but into something new. Individual consciousness emerged within their unity, each unique yet still connected. Their remembering, Nexer's thoughts came through stronger than ever. Not just what we were, but what we could be. The massive ships of the collective's fleet began to power down their integration matrices, but instead of retreating, they shifted into a new configuration, no longer a perfect geometric pattern, but an organic arrangement that reflected their transforming consciousness. Through Prometheus, a new form of communication began. Not the top-down commands of the unity, nor the chaotic individual signals of completely separate minds, but a harmony of distinct voices. The 17 species of the collective were awakening to their original identities while maintaining the connections they had built. Sarah opened her eyes in the interface chamber, her mind still linked to the quantum network. On screens around the room, data showed the collective's weapons powering down, their ships shifting from attack positions to a peaceful orbit. "They want to talk," she announced to the waiting world leaders. "Not to absorb or control, but to learn. To remember how to be both one and many." The first official communication from the transformed collective arrived minutes later. They proposed not an integration of humanity into their unity, but a genuine exchange. They had seen through Prometheus what humanity had achieved, the ability to connect minds while preserving individual identity, to find strength in diversity rather than uniformity. In return, they offered something equally valuable, the accumulated knowledge of 17 civilizations, not as a unified doctrine, but as a diverse collection of perspectives and approaches. More importantly, they offered partnership in exploring what consciousness could become when individual creativity and collective wisdom were truly balanced. As the sun rose over Earth the next day, it illuminated a changed solar system. The collected ships remained in orbit, but now as partners rather than invaders. Through Prometheus, humans and aliens began the delicate process of learning from each other while respecting their differences. Sarah stood at a window in the Project Phoenix facility, watching the ships glinting in the morning light. Through the quantum link, she could feel the ongoing transformation, both in the collective and in humanity. Neither would be quite the same after this encounter. "We didn't just survive first contact," she told Dr. Rodriguez as he joined her at the window. "We helped an ancient civilization remember who they were, and in doing so, we discovered something about ourselves." The quantum network hummed with activity as minds across the solar system connected, shared, and grew. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge, not through force of arms, but through the very qualities that made them unique: creativity, diversity, and the ability to find strength in their differences. The stars above Earth now held not just promise but proof. The future belonged not to those who sought perfect unity, nor to those who remained in isolation, but to those who could bridge the gap between individual and collective, between chaos and order. Humanity had not just earned its place among the stars, it had helped chart a new course for consciousness itself in the galaxy.